the Prime Minister speaking for exactly 2 hours and 23 minutes. The crux, the synopsis of his lengthy speech was obviously directed towards the opposition, especially the Congress. He went on to say that Manipur has already been explained and catered to by the Home Minister yesterday, who came up with a detailed, a granular explanation as to what really happened, what is the situation right now, and what remedies are being employed to make sure that violence and this atmosphere of fighting and killing stops. Abhinandita Mathur, Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, with me on the broadcast. We'll have other hosts of guests joining us momentarily as well. Abhinandita, what did you make of the Prime Minister's speech? He obviously, for most part of his speech, spoke against the opposition and how their double standards, how their hypocrisy is being exposed by their own people.
Hi. You know, today, as expected, the Prime Minister's speech was highly disappointing. It was actually outrageous at times and extremely disheartening to see how a Prime Minister of such a big country, a country that is also in crisis at the moment, a part of it is burning for 3 months, had actually no solace for people and was busy politicking. I mean, some of the things that he said were extremely condescending and insulting to the opposition. But unfortunately, he has to realize that, he's not merely insulting the opposition, but he's actually insulting India, in the sense that there are a lot of people who did not vote for him, who voted for the opposition leaders who represent the people in parliament today. And the way in which he, just spoke about himself and how he's lucky, unlucky, kala magic, kale kapde, etc. I mean, is this the Prime Minister of India? Is this the Prime Minister of a very enlightened and developing nation? It's extremely disheartening, actually. More than surprising, I think it is disheartening. And at a time when India actually needs leadership that has a vision, leadership that will take us forward, leadership that is educated, leadership that is concerned more about employment and inflation and safety of women, there is a leader who's only talking about himself. And he is not alone in this category. I mean, historically, there have been many leaders who were, full of themselves, who did not care for the people. And we know what disaster they actually eventually ended up doing for their respective countries. So it's a very scary moment for India when the Prime Minister himself is so disgraceful, if I may say so, in his speech at times that, we don't know where to look. It's not just about Manipur. I mean, he took so long to come to Manipur, and the way he spoke about Manipur, he kept talking about the future and how Manipur is an integral part. For God's sake, we know that. We wanted you to address what have you done in this time against those who committed heinous crimes against women? What have you done to, establish peace in Manipur? What have you done to, what is the message that you're sending to the rest of the country, and especially to the women of this country? So extremely disheartening, extremely, theatrical, dramatic, but absolutely zero substance. But like I said, we don't expect that from the Prime Minister anymore. We don't expect him to give us answers on the economy. We are just, waiting for him to, for the 2024 elections to come, so that the country can really tell him what they feel about him. And another thing that, that comes to mind that while he was speaking is, that he sort of presented a choice for the people of India to make. One is the Modi model, and other is, whether or not we stand with India. He's made a very, very obvious sort of a question he's put to the people of India. Okay. And on the one hand, there is, the Modi model, which is the Adani scam, which is the Vyapam scam, which is, the huge tragedy.
But he also spoke about the scams, the multitude of scams that happened during the UP era as well. Shivam Chabada, BJP spokesperson, joins us at this point in time. Girija Setkar, Congress spokesperson, also with us on the show. Ratan Sharda, political analyst, also joining us on the broadcast. And last but not the least, Huda Zariwala, political analyst, also with us on the program. Shivam, if I can come to you and if you can hear me. Shivam?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Hi. I'm sure you heard what the Prime Minister said. And I'm also equally sure that you heard what Abhinandita also said. Are you satisfied with the kind of message that the Prime Minister has delivered? The opposition was wanting him to talk on Manipur, and as soon as he started to talk about Manipur and what remedies are being availed, the opposition walks out.
So this shows the real color of the opposition. I mean, the same opposition who has stalled the parliamentary proceeding for almost a month for the entire session does not have the tolerance to listen to the Honorable Prime Minister, whom they actually wanted to listen out to, and they stayed and walked out. This shows that how tolerant they are. I mean, when the Prime Minister was speaking, it was absolutely disheartening to see the way Ranjan Chaudhary ji, the floor leader of the Congress party, interjecting him and saying out absurd things and bad mouthing him the way he could have done. It is absolutely, I mean, I don't know what kind of example he wanted to set to the young member of parliament who was a part of this kind of proceeding. The no confidence motion was brought in by the opposition, and now they have the audacity to stand up and move out the same when the Honorable Prime Minister is speaking. He's answering every question of yours. You said everything you wanted to. Your leaders, every opposition leader. I mean, I don't want to get into too much of details, but I think they raised and they probably spoke out of everything against the Prime Minister and the government. But when it comes to the Treasury bench, when it comes to responses from the ministers and the Honorable Prime Minister, they bothered to stand up and say, do a walkout. This shows how responsible they are. This shows their true color. This shows that how responsible and probably how sensitive they were towards their demand. When they say that they were probably talking about Manipur and what all the kind of acts that has happened in Manipur, they were not serious at all. It was more of political affair than anything else, Vinny. And I think, I would like to salute the way the Honorable Prime Minister has put forward every point in place. You know what the Honorable Prime Minister said? People were talking of East. Only look East policy of India, look East policy of India. We've got into this policy and we've acted towards the East. I mean, almost half a century, the Honorable Prime Minister has gone to the Northeast states and probably worked out, inaugurated various development works and, conducted various political tours. This has been the true color of the Prime Minister. This shows the devotion and dedication, and I would say the love of the Prime Minister towards the Northeast people. So what we say we do, but unfortunately for the Congress party, North Opposition Party, they have a lot of answering to do. How irresponsible they could be towards the people of this country. How irresponsible they could be to an extent that they brought the no confidence motion into the House, and then they had the audacity to get up and do a walkout when the Honorable Prime Minister was answering them on their face. He was basically, I would say the entire opposition was rattled the way, he was speaking in the parliament. He was in that kind of a mood. You ask, you say, you probably, this is again a two-way communication.
Okay, let's get a response from Girija Setkar as well. Girija Setkar ji, if you're there with us. Girija Setkar?
The whole point of the no confidence motion.
Well, let me ask my question first, all right? The point that we are trying to make here is that, this no confidence motion has been brought out by the opposition, predominantly by the Congress party. Why would you walk out when the time comes to actually hear the Prime Minister talk about Manipur and expedite the no confidence motion?
For 90 minutes, the Prime Minister has not uttered a single word on Manipur. And when he sees the opposition walking out, then he says, oh, I want to talk on Manipur. Okay, even if the opposition is walking out, there is a live debate and the people of this country are watching. You have them to answer about Manipur. And even after that, there was no mention of Manipur. And constantly talking about opposition walking out and not making any comment on Manipur shows how serious the Prime Minister is on the issue when there is a current genocide going on and constantly talking, politicizing the issue at hand and not talking about the rapes, the murders, the rifles that have been taken from the police officers, no internal security matter, lot of drugs going. The opposition principally moved this no motion confidence so that the issue is spoken by the prime minister. Even when they forced the prime minister to talk about it, he didn't raise a single point. And I don't know why everybody has this applause, jeering. Everybody is happy when a state is burning. Why are they clapping? Is Manipur not a part of India? Are the seven sister states not? They are deprived today. You keep talking about look east, act east. You don't act. It's just empty, hollow talk. 99th day. And still now on record in history, if you look back, everybody can say there will be no parliamentary records on the prime minister talking about Manipur. Even the 36 seconds that he spoke last time was unofficial, was outside the parliament. So the whole purpose of the no confidence motion was defeated. That's why the opposition walked out. And despite that, you did not mention or talk about Manipur. It's just empty and hollow words.
Okay, all right. Ratan Sharda? Ratan Sharda? Can you hear me?
First of all, yeah.
All right. Well, the Prime Minister also said that, this is not the first time that something like this is happening in Manipur. Violence has been a part of Manipur for the last few decades. Why is it being made so much out by the opposition at this particular juncture?
Well, first of all, let me put as a citizen of India, the issue of opposition first creating a no confidence motion and walking out on it. It is a farce. It's a direct insult of the citizens of India that you propose a vote of no confidence, then move out, just walk out. Then what kind of no confidence motion is this where you don't even want to put it on vote? Secondly, when PM is speaking, is he supposed to speak as per opposition diktat or as per his own pace, responding to various questions raised by him? Are you going to decide what he will speak at what minute? That is not accepted. Because any speaker will speak as per his own rhythm, as per his own points, how he wants to put it. So you have no right to dictate somebody how somebody will speak about on Manipur or any other issue. Thirdly, to say that Modi didn't respond to this or that, every Council of Ministers responded very, very strongly on every question asked or not asked about the government's performance. So are you supposing that Modi should repeat all that? He did not. He just mentioned the people who responded to various queries. So that is how it should be. Thirdly, when you talk about Manipur, I have mentioned earlier about this bombing of the Mizoram, which is on record. And I would go on to say that Congress was always in doubt whether Northeast is there or it is somebody else's, Myanmar, China, whosoever. And those who are part of Northeast may be doing a favor to India. I'm sorry. They were part of India. They will remain a part of India. And I have studied Northeast violence, Northeast conflicts enough for my own book that I know that it was never peaceful. People could not raise a tricolor on 15th August, 26th January. People could not celebrate the festivals. Tribals were harassed. Those who did not support church were also harassed by the militants and terrorists. So all this was happening there. There were blockades of days together, months together in Northeast, including Manipur. Manipur was the worst hit. In the case of blockades, did anybody make an issue out of it? No, Congress never spoke about it. For them, it was a handful of seats which did not deserve much. At the election, they would go, they would pamper church and pamper some few people, win some seats and then disappear. What kind of development Northeast saw for all these years? The sense of isolation that you see today, that was taken over by BJP's government in last 9 years. Where was the sense of belonging that Northeast has for India today, or part of it as being part of India, as part of being a place where they will feel prosperous, happy, and they could reach their places in time. They could earn their living respectfully. Where was it happening in Northeast? Tell me, please. From Tripura to Arunachal Pradesh, every region, every state was suffering from the worst kind of violence, oppression, and neglect. Now, if Modi has spoken about that, why are they very upset about it? To say that it not speak is one of the most biggest fallacious statements these people are making. And use the strong word like genocide. I'm sorry. It's a tribal conflict which has happened in many places, many times, including in their own time when they're ruling the Northeast. It happened. It does not mean that today I can condone it. But point is to now shout about Manipur and not talk about earlier period because the decisions taken yesterday affect my today. What are the decisions taken in 1947 affect how Northeast behaves today? Can't we understand that? Are you going to say that dump the history in the dustbin? You cannot, because that is where you actually find the root cause of the problems, and they will take their time to go away, which nobody even considered as problems because nobody looked at Northeast. As a famous anchor once said, it was tyranny of distance. That is how they treated Northeast. Where was the connectivity? How many people went to Northeast? Do you know once you landed up Northeast, you have to spend days together to reach other parts of Northeast? No, they don't know. If they know, then they should speak out. So this half-truths, this kind of myopic attitude, and you speak of Manipur. Do Manipur women have, only they have this problem, or we have insulted women across India for various reasons, our own misogyny, our bad conduct about overpowering women, whether it's Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, or any other place? Should we not speak about all of them? No, sir, we will not speak, because to us, this particular issue, which is the issue of national security, national integration, we will shout, but where it is happening right under our nose, we will not go there, we will not speak about that. We are the biggest hypocrites today sitting here in studio and criticizing Modi.
Huda, if you're there with us?
Yes.
Well, the Prime Minister did speak, right? Now that he has spoken about Manipur, why is the nuance around his response being criticized and analyzed by the opposition?
Well, at this point, I would like to start off my comment with a share, which goes like, "Tu idhar udhar ki baat na kar, tu idhar udhar ki baat na kar, tu ye bata kafla kyun lata." The Prime Minister spoke on every issue possible for an hour and then brought about Manipur. I mean, what about it hardly helps as an answer, right? I mean, particularly when it is coming from the Prime Minister himself, whom the entire government, rallies around. I mean, isn't it really juvenile, for the Premier to invoke the hardships of the growing pains of a freshly independent nation with a time when we are, boastful about being the 5th largest economy? The Prime Minister had absolutely no business rallying around the topic. Instead, Manipur should have been the first point of concern, the point of communication for the people. Also, apart from that, let us not forget that, the other violences that the country has witnessed in the past few weeks, be it the violence in New, be it the selective targeting of the minorities in Haryana. I mean, those are also a point of concerns which the Prime Minister obviously would never speak about. And next, can we actually afford to miss what was the motivation behind the no confidence motion? I mean, was Manipur not the biggest catalyst to begin with? How is it possible that the Prime Minister goes on and on about, for about 2 hours, and just during the last few minutes of his address, he suddenly remembers that, yes, this was about Manipur. He was supposed to address the issue to begin with. I mean, isn't this the highest level of a typical example of a
But the Home Minister took out time and spoke about this yesterday. He also spent about 2 hours explaining the situation and what the remedies are and what the government is planning to do.
And yet, did they actually speak about the issue? Did they actually agree? I mean, that this was a failure of the BJP in the Manipur. I mean, should it not be the lion's share of the Prime Minister's reply today, and how that he wishes to manage it instead of making it a fatalist response of the problem, that would dissipate in time? I mean, this is a Prime Minister who talks about sabka saath, sabka vishwas, and all of that. And when it comes to women's safety, we have seen time and again how the BJP goes about doing its whataboutery, indicating instances that have happened in Rajasthan or West Bengal. I mean, just yesterday, about the women, the speakers in the Lok Sabha wanted to, make a big issue about the Rahul Gandhi's flying kiss incident. Fine. So the women of Manipur have suffered far worse. Should that not have been the biggest point of concern, the biggest point of address today? The entire nation was listening to the Prime Minister. Just when the opposition
what do you think was left to address, Huda? What do you think was left to address by the Prime Minister that Amit Shah did not, for the sake of argument?
Well, to begin with, the fact that Manipur people are not given justice of any kind to begin with, the issues have not been heard for 99 days now. The parade of the women, we've all seen international media and international kind of attention on it. And, the Prime Minister gave an address on it after 70 days. I mean, how is it that this issue is, the no confidence motion was for this issue to begin with? And that was addressed way in the end. I mean, this is clearly uncalled for. This is a government that has absolutely zero accountability. And what is the crisp solution that he provided? I mean, let us, this is a question for the Prime Minister to answer to the Janata of India. I mean, I would like to ask you, is there a crisp solution that he has provided for us today in the Parliament? Is there something that he left us, some food for thought, anything that, the citizens whom he is expecting to vote for him again in the next upcoming 2024 elections, has he left them with absolutely any solution, anything that the people can rely on? I mean, what objectivity did he left with on the Manipur issue? Do we have answers on that? Do you have any answers on that? I mean, could you, possibly offer me answers, if any, after today's 2-hour address of the Prime Minister in the Parliament?
Okay, all right. We'll definitely try and answer that. That's a debatable question that you have asked, Huda. But
for more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.